Matter remains that the daughter, when she says about Gopi's arrival, the mother is not able to recognize her own son. Now, this is a very important part of the story. If we look at it as a problem, what is the problem? The main problem of the story is the old age of Amma, the loneliness of Amma, and the forgetfulness that she is suffering from. Now, when we talk about this forgetfulness of Amma, I'm reminded of an information that I got about Kamala Das's mother, who died at the age of 93 or 95, probably. Balamani Amma was suffering from forgetfulness. To be given a medical term, we call it Alzheimer's disease, where it's a neurological disease where you do not remember your own loved ones. So it's quite possible that there is a few autobiographical element in this story as well. So she's probably trying to recollect few incidents of her own life. So it is left open. There is no mention that it's an autobiographical story or something, but there is a mention that she died after a prolonged illness of Alzheimer's disease. After the exposition comes the rising action in the plot, where the characters are established, events get complicated, and excitement or tension or crisis is encountered. Now, when we talk about the character is established, how much do we know as a reader when we read the story? It tells us that the mother is suffering from Alzheimer's disease. She forgets. She lives in the past, in the present, and keeps moving from past to present. Sometimes she thinks that her son is still studying in a school, and she fails to recognize her own son, but at the same time she asks him whether he knows her son Gopi, who also lives in Delhi. With a lot of pride, she tells Gopi that her son has got a promotion recently and he's doing very well professionally. He earns a salary of rupees 2,500, which was a huge amount in those days, and that he is very well-respected person. So as a mother, she takes pride in the success of her son. But at the same time, when the son comes before her, she is unable to recognize her son. And she keeps mumbling all the time to her widowed daughter Kamala and seeks information about her son. She keeps asking her whether Gopi writes letters. Now Kamala has to lie most of the time because Gopi has never written letter. He has never visited them in the last 5 years. But she keeps telling her mother that they write, the wife and the son certainly keeps in touch through letters. This is a lie that Kamala shares to console her mother, to give some comfort to her mother. Now, as we move, the plot goes to the next level, which we call as the climax, where the main point, where it reaches the moment of highest interest, where the emotions are expressed, the highest of the emotions are expressed, where there is suspense in the story. Now, when Gopi tells Kamala the intention behind his coming to this village, it was not to meet his mother or his sister, but he has come with a very selfish motive. Now, this is what is revealed. The emotion of the widowed daughter Kamala and the emotions of the selfishness, rather, of the son who neglects his family, his dear ones, is shown where there is a lot of despair in the expression of Kamala. And after the suspense is revealed, what was the suspense? The suspense is that Gopi has come not to meet his loved ones, he has not come to meet his sister or his mother, but he has come to sell his property, his share of the property, which would help him put the money in a fixed deposit and lead a better life. Because he keeps complaining about the mounting expenses in the city, with especially 4 children to look after. He says he's unable to cope up with the expenses, and this is the only solution that he found, and it is with the intention of selling this property that he has come. So the following action, where you will find that the story is winding up, there's the end of the story, events and complications begin to resolve, and there's the end of the story. As resolution comes, as the matters are resolved, the story ends. But as far as this story is concerned, we find that it is exposed to the readers, it's revealed to the readers that Gopi is a selfish son, he neglects his mother, that's all what is revealed, and he has no concern for his old aging mother. Now, when we look at the function of the plot in a short story, how does it help the reader and understand the story, and how does it help in the better comprehension of the story, and how does it send a message to the reader? These are the functions of a plot. As the events progress, it forms a memory in the reader's mind. So that is the main function of the plot. So you'll look at this story as to Gopi arrives and he meets his mother, the interactions that take place. All these leaves a deep impact in the reader's mind. It helps us understand the plot. It leads us to the message of the story that the author intends to convey to its readers. There are 2 kinds of morals generally that a story has: an implicit moral as well as an explicit moral. An implicit moral is something where it is very indirectly conveyed to the reader. But here in the story you find that there is an explicit moral. It conveys the message to the reader directly. There are no indirect means here involved. What is it, the moral that the author is talking about? It is about being empathetic towards the old, being empathetic towards your old and ailing parents. This is what the author is trying to say. When we look at the first 2 paragraphs of the story, it shows the pathetic condition of a mother who has lost her memory and the arrival of her son. These are 2 things which are revealed to the readers in the very first 2 paragraphs of the story. It also exposes the bitter truths of life. Gopi visits his mother after 5 years. Why is it that he did not find time to meet his mother? Because he was busy in his pursuit towards a successful professional career, building his professional career. He's a government official, as I mentioned earlier, who settled in Delhi. He has his wife, whose name is Vimala. You'll find that the mother keeps forgetting his daughter-in-law's name. So he doesn't know the name of her own daughter-in-law, Vimala. And these are the effects that you will find of the Alzheimer's disease in the main character of Amma, the central character of Amma. And there are 4 children. These are few things which are exposed to the readers. Gopi has come on an official trip to Trivandrum. Trivandrum is the capital of Kerala, which is now known as Thiruvananthapuram. And this official visit is somehow he manages to meet his mother on his way back to Delhi, not to meet his mother. that's the kind of impression that a reader forms initially, but as the plot grows thicker, the reader comes to know that the son has not come to meet his mother, but has come to sell his share of property. The mother is old and she lives with Gopi's widowed sister. As we know, he arrives unexpectedly after 5 years. We discussed the scene where the mother rests in an armchair in the veranda, who fails to recognize her own son, Gopi, and believes her son is still a schoolboy. Now, where does the title of the story figure? The Tattered Blanket. We haven't discussed it so far. We'll discuss this aspect, the title of the story, very soon. To the mother, the son is still a stranger. She doesn't recognize her son, who has come from Delhi. She knows that he has come from Delhi, but she's not able to comprehend that this is her own son, Gopi. Occasionally, the mother keeps forgetting everything. Her mind sometimes blanks out. These are all symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. Sometimes she has crystal clear memory, and that is where I personally feel that it is Balamani's Alzheimer's disease that probably Kamala is trying to talk about. As a part of this disease, the disease of forgetting her son, her daughter-in-law, the past, few aspects of the past, some of them it's very crystal clear to her. She's proud that her son is a government officer, gets frequent promotions. She takes pride as a mother talking about him. Somebody who earns rupees 2,500 salary and has Kesari Yoga. Now, like most of these writers who write in English, Kamala Das also chooses to retain those typical terms. Now, Kesari Yogam is, according to the astrological chart, considered to be a most auspicious period. So her son is going through this Kesari Yogam. The planets are in the right positions where he is successful because of that positioning of the stars. Now, the title of the story, The Tattered Blanket. Amma's demand for a new blanket. Now, when she sees Gopi and mistakes him to be her son's friend, probably, who has come from Delhi, so she says, "Do you know my son? If you happen to meet him, do tell him to send me a new blanket. The blanket that I possess now was given to me by Gopi while he was studying in Madras, and it's very old now, it's worn out, and I feel very cold in the morning, so I need a new blanket." Now, this is where the title comes in. Tattered, as I mentioned earlier, means torn, which is of no use now. There are holes here and there. It's like a fisherman's net. Now, that is the kind of simile that she uses here. She compares the blanket, the tattered blanket, to a fisherman's net. After the mother goes to bed, Kamalam confronts, or rather she faces her brother. "Why have you come?" Because she knows that there is some reason for her brother to come after 5 long years. It wouldn't be without a reason that he is here. So she straightaway asks her brother, I quote from the story, "Why have you come? It is not merely to see Amma, is it?" This is how she confronts her brother. And it's here that there's a revelation. Gopi wants to sell his share of property. Now, that's what he tells his sister. The mother is still unaware about his arrival, as she has not been able to recognize the son. So sometimes the reader is left with the feeling that it's good that the mother has not recognized the son, because it would only have added more pain to her already agonized heart. Gopi wants to sell his share of property. And when he makes this statement, he certainly feels guilty about the whole aspect. So, in order to justify his decision, he talks about his mounting expenses and about his 4 children that he has to educate and bring them up. He talks about the money that he would get from the property that he would sell, which can be kept in a fixed deposit and would supplement his expenses. When this is revealed, you can find that the sister, Kamala, the widowed sister of Gopi, is exasperated. And in her exasperation, she starts sobbing. There's a sob rising in her throat. And she tells her son, her brother, Gopi, I quote from the story, Amma is 85, not likely to live more. How could you stay away from her for so long? What kind of a son are you? A son who never thought of meeting his mother, of being with his mother for 5 long years. How can a son behave like this? That was her outrage. She also reminds him that the mother is now 85, so she would not live more. But to her exasperation, you can see towards the end how Gopi reacts. He reacts with a laugh. But Amma does not remember me. So the only relief that Gopi feels is that mother has not. In fact, he should have felt sorry about it. He should have felt sad about it. But here you'll find that he reacts with a laugh because the mother will not know that he has been so callous. He has been so indifferent towards her. He has been neglecting his mother since long. Now, Gopi reacts to this question of his sister with a laugh. That itself shows that he is not serious about his mother's illness or his sister's widowhood. And as to how these 2 women would survive on their own,